this problem where they don't always pop. When they do, when you have Doki, when you have Blur as a duo going absolutely huge, when you have all of these things hitting connections, they're terrifying. They're unstoppable. They are a team that absolutely rips apart a server. But that consistency of those two players, the confidence of those two players, it isn't always there. It's not always something that they can sort of have as a reliance. It's, you know, it's a huge amount of potential.
For sure, as the bends are slowly running out, we have the Nomad removed from the side of Spacestation Gaming, which is of course going to be guiding any of these run-outs. Mute being the last bend to come in. I like the floors again. A lot of the utility often, of course, removed with those RC Retiros. And as the bends have shaped up, let's get underway with round number 1.
What do you think of the map ban?
The map ban?
Yeah, the map ban. Obviously, Chalet, Bank, and Club as the ender. Jess believed it would be a 2-0. Believed that SSG... Whereas there seemed to be this conversation from Fresh where he was sort of insinuating, why have they gone to Bank?
Yeah, it is questionable, but I think I'm going to agree with Jess here. I think a 2-0 should be in the works for SSG. Of course, never really know what has been hidden up until this point, what they have been able to make up for in the off day that we had yesterday, of course. Because I mentioned it before, NAVI -15 in round count. It is not the best round differential to have to actually proceed towards these playoffs, whereas Spacestation Gaming currently on +7, also on +3 maps, whereas NAVI is -2. So they have a lot to prove here. But they also had that off day. They had that moment where they could quickly reconvene, see what they need to improve on, and if there's maybe anything they have upon Space Station Gaming side of things, to make sure that they found accurate ways to counter them.
Chalet, NAVI, they're leading in on their defense, irregardless of the fact that it's their map. And what you're looking at here is an SSG that's more confident on the attack. Chalet does work very well on attack. And NA, for me, are a great attacking team. They were, when Chalet was sort of reintroduced, some of the first growth into what can be offered. Love to see a bit of Zero. We're going to see some control of the space and a fight already happening over onto the helipad. It's camera work, it's intel, it is drones hidden in plants and cameras hidden in beams. And that is what they're going to sort of try and control here with the Lion, with that approach that North America loves to bring.
For sure, and over the first event where Chalet was being brought, I believe they were even flawless over the entirety of it with Chalet, up until they, of course, reached the Brazilians later on in the tournament, and they were able to beat them on it. Either way, 2 minutes 20 on that clock. 40 seconds have passed, and as the cameras are outside, Doki gets some good information out on one of the players, but of course cannot really act upon it as of yet. We'll have to drop through the hatch if it is opened up, go for a run out in the trench area, but it is not going to be happening at all. Camera has been taken out, and that means that they're aware of the fact that there is information upon them. But a little amount of time is being wasted, just slowly and steadily. And as they're taking that southern side of the building, there is still that top floor control on the side of NAVI.
Look how quick they've been able to get themselves. We're already sort of putting pressure here onto the bottom of box. They're trying to get underneath. They're going to get box wall cracked open, and then they can lean in towards that dining side push, that approach secretly. He finds the head of Fault. Open is up. You could see he was sort of fishing for the angle. He doesn't need to hold this till death, like other power positions, but the more problems he can cause here, I mean, that's 20, 30 seconds that'll be wasted, and including a player too. It's a bit of a bargain here. The E1Ds start to pop. They're seeing if they can try and get a bit of a collapse here around the multiple sides. They're cutting off the escape routes with the window control on Bathroom, potentially. They want to force and funnel them into these awkward angles. The pings are coming through, and at this point, secretly, it's either a mad dash to survive, or he's just going to see if he can stick. The grenade should not quite clear all the way through. Sky suffers in the meantime, but Rampy's able to find Blur. There it is. Finally fishing, but under the minute mark.
Yeah, still trying to get that top floor under full control. Saves is still a bit in between on those back stairs. Could instantly go down or up, depending on what's necessary. And surely as soon as they start opening up all this verticality, it's Doki that strikes back. Houghton will be taken out. And for now at least, the wall still stays closed. There is that verticality that has been made though. They could use it to try and get rid of any form of electrification that's out there that has been placed by Saves. And that's exactly what Bosco needs to do. As they get into a position, it seems like a full rotate up to the top floor is on its way. They are not quite ready. They need some more. And Gus will decide to use some Excars, it seems like. Not just on the hatch. I was afraid they were going to use it some verticality for a second.
Well, it's 15 seconds, and they got to see if they can strong arm themselves into the plant. They barely have much cover, so it's going to be a little bit hot, quick, and aggressive here. They're trying to find that body all the way back on Trophy. The pings are consistent in the E1D. Rampy's gone wide to get it, but it's Bosco that's able to find the first. Doki hits back, and the diffuser's cold. NAVI hold on for that opening round.
Our time was well played by the side of Spacestation in that first part of the round, where they had the complete library and fireplace under control. They started to struggle as soon as they needed to break into the office. It was Saves playing there, behind the half-wall. And normally you would say, all right, we can put up some pressure from below, but that was the actual side, secretly I mean, which is quite difficult in that moment in time. You need to get these grenades out or go for a synchronized push, but with the extra cover that was out there as well, you could not just walk and waltz into the piano to try and see if you could find secretly right behind that half wall. And, you know, eventually they did get both those entries, but a lot of time was already wasted. The hatch was still closed, and Doki fighting back from below, able to pick up some important kill on Houghton as well.
I think that's it. Doki obviously found that sort of reverse vertical as his opener, and then suddenly to find the two more in that dying 20 seconds of the round as well. It's the conversation, again, if I'm going to allude to what was talked about on desk, that Doki versus Houghton fight. That sort of story of two players that when they're popping off, they're very hard to stop and slow down. And, you know, we're a little bit into this. We're only going to get the full taste of the range of how they're playing on the day when we get a little bit deeper into it. But to get a hold of that pace, to get a sort of wrap on that statistic and try and drive it a little bit further and further, especially on a map like this where SSG, they're leading on the attack. It's the preferred side. They are the ones that are supposed to be applying the pace. If you can keep that arm's length, if you can sort of keep them rebuffed, well, that might start to spell a better time on their attack when Navi have to swap over.
For sure, and you know, the timer is always still that 6-man on the side of the defenders, and Navi managed to play that quite well in the end there. Of course, they gifted a lot of ground at the start of the round, but afterwards they stayed put. They weren't really giving any opening over to the side of the Space Station camp, and really ran out of time. They had to drop the hatch with 15 seconds left and hope to find fights elsewhere. None of them really went their way. Important ping, though, coming through. They now know Saves is out here on top of that hatch, and they need to find a way to deal with it. Sometimes we do see a grenade coming in from the small window right besides him. But as he has been spotted out, he's still quite aggressive, I dare to say, when he was just swinging a little bit too much to the right. Is he aware? There's the drone. He now knows.
He's not going to stick around too long. With that window burst underneath, he knew that there was an intense amount of pressure. It's just a bit of grenade fishing, and as proven by the statistic at the start of this day, both these teams very good at that. Fultz is just going to see if he can get a catch on the backside angle there with the Maverick assistance, but he can't quite get themselves all the way through to the body on supply. Secretly, he's still sort of a bit cautious here of the swing round up from Snowmo stairs. He has those canisters if things get a little bit too hot and bothered, but it's quite an aggressive position for the smoke to be in because of the work to pull that supply line corner out. No one can really dig themselves in there right now. Doki, he's on a bit of a wide flank. I think we saw a flicker of a drone there to give the idea that, well, they have an idea of where he is. It's going to be sort of trying to draw some focus, attention, and if he can, go for a fight. Very different to how he played the previous round where he was buried inside the site. This time, he's everywhere but as Blur is the first engagement out over the balcony.
On a call, we'll be able to find Saves as he just used that earlier made hole by the Maverick gas canisters. The trades are coming out, however, Skies is pushed back as he will have to cancel the plan. The second smoke canister will be used, dealing a lot of damage there, but he somehow just manages to live. Secretly digs in deep, but they have to be very careful to not use the pantry here because Hot and Cold is still in the position where he can just move up those staircases and just cut off that rotation.
That's the thing, where Hot and Cold is such a big blow to how you hold this. Tried to get a grenade through, can't quite get the catch. But still, it's a pressure. Secretly, he gets taken from above. They lose that last canister, but the diffuser goes cold outside the double window. A swing up blue goes into Nate's favor. And suddenly, SSG, they have a lot of time, but they don't have the kit, and it's only really Rampy up. Could do a pickup, and is going to opt for that instead. No, actually, pulls himself up and presses the button, hoping and assuming somebody would swing in on him. It was always the other option. But now, as Rampy, he suffers. He's trying to find his way into the small little jump box and has a reload 20 seconds. Whatever they try and stick next is going to be the only thing that they can try and stick the rest of this round. Creep.
Sure. I was going to say, this guy's moving up on the back stairs right here. will be able to find at least one, and is going to pick up that kill as well. So 2 and 2, 10 seconds left on the clock. They need to force themselves through. However, Doki can and has the opportunity to come up right behind them. Blur as well in a position from above to try and cancel this plan, but it seems like it might be going down. Blur is not in the right position to cancel it. Eventually will, however. It was getting very close there. Missed the last couple of shots with the pistol, but they still managed to it doesn't look pretty well.
He led 4 talent scrim as well. And
okay, yeah.
It was me, Demo, Fresh, and Jacob versus Stokes, XR Troika, Anne, and Dez.
Okay, who won?
We won.
Okay.
And we won whilst Jacob was in the other scrim room. For some reason.
But he can then feed that information over to you.
Yeah, but we couldn't communicate with him. It was on Chalet, actually.
Could talk in game.
Anyway, we're back in. We filled a minute. And it was a bit of an early call, and as we said, you know, there's not too much to break down about this because SSG are leading on their attacks. It's not their map. Chalet can be a good map for them, but it's not their map choice here. And they know that they want to hit that 4-2 before they go into the end of the half because the map is decidedly favored towards attackers, not only by their statistic, but by general statistics. And the most important thing here, as we sort of briefly alluded to, is momentum, is rhythm.
Yep.
You want to slow down NAVI because they're a team that can cook, and they're a team that as that sort of boils and boils and boils, it gets better and better and better. Slow it down a little bit early, see if you can try and pull this next one. Either way, you've broken a bit of momentum, and
I'm just gonna wreck your world here.
Go on.
It was a tech timeout.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just heard that over the comms. Either way,
Why did they tell you that and not me?
I don't know. Maybe not.
They wanted me to make a fool of myself. How dare you? No, it's fine. Okay, well then, disregard everything I just said about it being a team talk. Apparently it wasn't. I was
They still have a talk, just not with life.
Well, that's the thing. They can still have a team talk. And I'm still going to, I guess, hazard the point that I think it's good to break the momentum for SSG anyway. Oh.
Very early opening into the wine cellar. I'm not a real big fan of the site still, but teams are starting to make it work. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one will go. SSG tries to go and take some top 4 control. They want to put up the pace, but Blur is ready. Blur is waiting. Pre-fires a little bit through the wall, at least makes his position known, but this will also stall out some time. Phil's trying to bring back those bullets around, and Doki around the corner will be able to pick up one. Is that one around the corner? Yeah, that's one more. Doki with a double, and he goes for a third. Doki! I was waiting for it. Is he going to hit it? Yes, indeed, he will. And now, Dogotten will also drop by Nath. It's only up to Skies, and he, you see it in his face. He's like, all right, we'll run. This is, I don't know what this is. This didn't really go as planned. Let's just use this as a bit of a 90-second timeout and talk.
Okay.
Because how did Doki sneak up, get a double kill? The third one, I understand. That's just you trying to refrag, but he wins the gunfight because he knew where you were.
Okay, maybe at this point they will take a tactic.
Maybe they will take the tactic now.
It was just huge from Doki. And this is that rhythm and momentum player, as I said. When he hits hard. He's currently 7-2-0-0. He is the best version of a 007 meme in that it's reversed.
He's 7-0-0. Oh.
Oh, no.
Triple O's.
SSG, this is their time to talk. Because for a team that is, as I sort of highlighted at the beginning, they're very, very concise with their intel. They are usually very much in control of that game, and, you know, Doki's found a way through. And Navi's found a way through. It's a bigger blow in that, okay, he pulled off a huge triple kill and set the third rotation. Blur. He's sick of waiting.
Of course they are. I mean, at this point, they know it's going to be a tech timeout.
At some point, there'll be Zeds put in chat. In a lot of other games.
They're just talking.
They're talking. That's entirely what this is. They're having a conversation. Anyone would do the same if you lost everyone within the opening.
I was going to say, we could even swap to the full team chem at this point, but at that moment, Skies actually got active again and decided to, you know what, 10 seconds, let's warm up the Q&E spam. Might be of benefit later on.
You'll get back in the helicopter.
Get back in the helicopter, fly off, and bring in a new team for the next round. That
Can't breach that. That's not breachable.
All right, and with that, Navi have... Oh, okay, yeah. I already heard you say, oh, I understand now when I look at the...
Yeah, the wall didn't break.
Yeah, the wall didn't break. Well, the hard part did. The soft one did not. But it's 0-3, and Navi are in that lead. I know Jack is absolutely vibing right now in the back room because every single time they win a round, he is the loudest out there. And so is Navi. They're also vibing about it. Is that okay? That was a very good round. Doki, well played by him. Able to just sneak up, get a triple kill as a result. And now round number 4 on the way. Kitchen Dining will be back on the board as the complete rotation has been made. And now to try and do it for a second time in a row here.
So, back to Kitchen, back to the play that might come together. As we said, the starting approach of this from SSG was good, but then they couldn't quite get the solidity on Secretly, who played to his death up on the other side of the short wall, up on the other side of box. He ensured that there was some of this hold on, this lockdown, and it came to the end of a grenade. At least another one was thrown at him, as well as however many burnables before, and then obviously he opened it. So I would say that the last time we were here, a lot of the play that came out at the end was the work of Secret on the back line, but I guess it's the conversation now of SSG. Are they going to potentially look to see if they can apply some split pressure, maybe try and take a little bit more control of blue, rather than just funneling from the box side and the sort of width that it offers, or see if they can try and capitalize on piano first, because they'd set themselves up on windows over there, but I believe that they hadn't actually got a little bit more pressure or access inside the building yet, obviously because of other players that are playing around there, but still, it might be a turn of focus towards them first, rather than the breach.
He's looking out at the library window. Fultz is afraid that someone might be going for a bit of a spawn peek here, and he's checking them all. There's actually a camera that got tossed outside. I'm not quite sure where it landed, but there is someone right next to it. It's a claimer that gets put up. He just saved his own life without even realizing it, because otherwise Doki would have just jumped out on him. There it is. It's on that ground. He knew exactly where he was going, but he wanted to make sure that Fultz was on a drone, for example. That would have been the safe way for him to go for that jump out and pick up a free kill. But Spacestation have no clue the camera's out there currently. I mean, they might know there is a Valkyrie on the board. They might realize that soon. However, they don't know that they're currently being spotted.
That's it. I mean, this one's much further away than it was before. They found the previous camera based on its location. It's one of those things, because if you hit it in the dark, if you hit it in the sort of gravelly bits of, or by the cars, it's really hard to spot. You put it in the white and the snow, it's so obvious.
Yeah, it's this black dot in the middle.
Yeah,
white,
black dot that occasionally goes through. And it's that sort of hit and mix. And the last one was in the white. It looks like that one's hit that gravel, so it's going to be a little bit tougher and trickier to get a full beat and read on here. This is the alternate take I was sort of alluding to. You can see they've stacked themselves up around Solarium side. They're looking towards Trophy, potentially on a hop in onto the window. They're trying to get control from the back of where Secretly was before, and it's Rampy that's driving his way here across the top. They realized that the box force wasn't going to come together, and at this point, actually, they can see the NAVI players have actually moved themselves off. They've had a pickup that the push is coming from this side instead, and sort of forfeited the territory. They know they don't have as sturdy control there, so Secretly's pulled himself off towards, obviously, Library. He's offering some support here to saves.
I was going to say it's not just them, but Skies gets that very first kill. Doki gets picked up, and EOD gets used and will be provided to potentially push in even further. But at this moment in time, that means they now need to start rotating back just a little bit here. Saves is still looking to go for a potential jump out as he's prone. I mean, Fultz is still somewhat in range, but it is going to be too risky. They lost that top floor control. Houghton will be starting to open up very soon here above the rest of the site, and that is when the rest will be in trouble. Saves needs to be careful though. Claymore has been put down there. He's thinking about going for a potential jump out, but he really cannot do that.
Well, the diffuser's being planted on the far side behind the safety of the bomb chassis. There's breaks coming in above Nath. He's under huge amounts of pressure, and Bosco is able to find Blur to post-plant. And a 5 versus 1 almost. They just don't get the end scratch on that player, but Saves is able to find Houghton in the meantime. 30 seconds. They have vertical control over the diffuser. They had themselves well coordinated. The force on the smoke, but it's cut off before he can finish the maneuver, and Skies locks in the opener and the closer on SSG's first round.
There we have it. The Solarium take seemed to work out. No one really there from the side of Navi, so freely given away. And that is the contrast to what we saw that first round. I mean, not only did SSG go for a different take from a different side, the players on the side of Navi were also not really on that top floor, or at least not present where it mattered in the end. And that allowed them to freely take it. Start putting up that pressure to Doki. I mean, you might win some of those gunfights through the beams from below, but you're definitely not going to be winning all of them. And that gives that first round over towards Spacestation Gaming. They still look for more. They still want to lock this off in an even split. And that is definitely going to be some pressure upon them, as Navi choosing to go for the bar here. As the wine cellar is still closed. Wouldn't be surprised if they go back there at the end.
NAVI, they've been proving that they can bleed, but they've already guaranteed themselves the even half, and they're going to see if they can keep pressure and put themselves into probably more than that, to be honest. Doki, as we pointed out, was very close to be able to get that jump out kill, and if that was a connection, it might have been a bit different. Obviously, Faults wasn't a direct line between the firing line against their opponents last time. It was a great drive onto the other side. It was a great read of the hold. They adapted, they rotated, and then they put the diffuser down in and amongst the E1D, and you saw all the stuns that came through from Faults against the smoke player. So they knew where they were, and they did just enough to ensure that they couldn't long arm the smokes the same way they did on this push last time.
Alrighty then. One round in the pocket for SSG, and they look to find more. This time, no Maverick on the board, so the pantry will be a little bit safer to some extent, whereas it will be still openable by, of course, the Hibana that they carry along. However, it's going to be making some more noise. And that is going to be the trouble point here. If they make too much noise, no one will be playing in that pantry. At least be aware of the fact that someone will be out there, whereas the blowtorch is relatively silent. Grenades already being tossed in, however, they're afraid of a player still being out there around the area and the corner, but that's not the case. Library is completely free. One of the prisoners did get destroyed, however, with that grenade, so a little bit of utility was gained, but no kill yet. As NAVI waiting around the corner, they have one near the blue stairs, they have one right around the library door. If they step in a little bit too far, it's Blur that has to rotate out, but can still swing back in. Takes 90 damage from that grenade.
Well, the wall's about to be popped behind him if they don't quite get all of them, but the X-Kairos was shot by the synergy relationship that he has with Nath on the far side. Nath, he suffers a little bit himself. You sort of have to try and take one of these two players, but distract the other at the same time because of how they can read each other, how they can play against each other. The pickup now. Blair is going to be suffering a bout of pressure from the opposite side. It looks like they have a body stacked up on that little mezzanine window too, and, well, he's just out of there. He realizes he can't hold on too much longer. He's low health, and he's already wasted over a minute and a half at this point. They're able to start pushing their way in. Nath, he's going to pull his way back because he now knows he doesn't have that support player. He doesn't have that swing player. He needs to get out of there before he is entirely surrounded.
Now, no opening has been made yet on the pantry, so secretly can still freely rotate around that area. Drones are starting to drop in, however, and that means that Sage's position for one has been spotted out. He's still trying to contest the hatch right there. Is in the meantime being pressured from above by the sledge that is starting to open up here and there. It's Vampy that will just swing around the corner and pick him up. Instead goes for the double, as Nathan no clue that he was already that far down. It is a double entry here for Spacestation, and that is exactly what they need, but they need to be careful as Blur is still up on that top floor. He's right behind that shield. He doesn't know and gets picked up. That's a triple, and now they push on. Space Station need to find two more people on the side of NAVI.
Oh god, imagine if Rampy wasn't using an LMG. That's the sort of question there, and bit of a misthrow on a C4, and he's caught out, but he's the only one left at this point. The C4 might catch one, it doesn't. It's a bit short, and the shield pop-up is going to guarantee the flawless here for SSG. I mean, LMGs. He pre-fired swung, got the first and the second, and still had about 30 bullets left.
Even more, I think it was it the Thinker that went for the first swing? Yeah, it was.
It was all Thinker, all the way down. The shield pop-up on the reverse of Blair was Sophia there. It's like, so it takes the first fight, can take the second fight.
Now you still have a full magazine.
27 bullets. I mean, I think that's one of the moments, and that's that pre-fire game is you go in it because you can get rewarded, and obviously you've got to have the game sense to make sure that you know when to move and manipulate. But that's why you're seeing them. That's why we're getting a lot of them.
They did drone saves out, so they knew exactly where it was. That first kill, that was always going to be free. The second one, I mean, Nave looked up a little bit too far, wanted to go for a very quick swing. He also knows that you cannot, when you're playing against an LMG, you cannot cut the corner very slowly to try and figure out what exact pixel he will appear on, because it'll just pre-fire you. You have to go for these quick swings. Either way, those two LMGs, they really worked out for the side of Space Station Gaming, so they decided to just bring it back to one. I'm not sure, is the Vector 308 an LMG? It has like 51 rounds. It's not really an LMG, but it's definitely a gun with a lot of bullets in it.
NAVI, they've obviously had a pretty big takeaway here. SSG were able to utilize that long 1 minute 30 conversation and get their heads back on straight. So, pin everything when I thought it was a tech timeout and put it onto that, which wasn't technically a tech timeout, it was a technical in the end. and then sort of apply it there. They knew that they needed to sort of set the pace. They know what they can do here, and they know that they can control the players, and since that point, it's not just that they've locked out Doki, but they've generally been able to isolate the play, the objective. They're not entirely looking at, let's try and find fights, because that's when they were losing. Instead, the way they focused over the past 2 rounds was, well, let's play it like we're playing our objectives. Let's just sort of run down the list. Let's go for the approach on the far side in the first. Great. And they went for the diffuser in the plant. The second time there, instead of trying to find the sneaky angles and the fights into pantry and supply, they went the default. They took the fight across the top and pushed their way down there.
Alrighty then. Round 6. A little bit of an opening up above. Of course, we are in that wine cellar, but I have to be very careful. Houghton is here to catch off a rotation, but he didn't hold the angle tight enough, and Blur will slip by without taking a single point of damage. But he now knows as well, someone is on the balcony, and someone is holding that door. Going to be called out. No one's going to be swinging that anymore. Talking about swinging, that's exactly what Rempe wants to do. Has the LMG and will receive some tracers back at him. Nothing will damage him yet, however, he will soon be swung yet once more. There is one close on the corner. He still has the LMG in hand, and all he needs now is the information on where Doki is exactly. With Folds providing some support, or at least getting into a position to do so. It is Doki that falls back together with NAVI as they want to hold onto the dining area.
Doki's sort of eyeing up that fight from range, and a grenade is going to bounce its way around to that close corner, force them out. But look at all this. Hot and Cold is there to assist as well. All the bodies stacked up, the E1D at the same time. They went heavy on the push here across the west main take. Doki's trying to stick it out, and he sees the side of somebody. He's able to drift away and get a kill, traded out instantly by Rampy. They keep the body advantage into their favor. At this point, they've lost the sledge, so they've lost a big portion of their soft destruction above. Faults obviously still has those breach rounds. They still have some capabilities to smash their way down and open some of these angles, but in the meantime, with the hatch open, Con 6 taking care of them. Lucy, they're going to get themselves a little bit more of a clean approach here. They're probably going to see if they can get control maybe of the bottom side of blue and go for a swing in towards behind pillar, see if they can get the diffuser planted, and actually there's the rotate coming off towards trench.
Yeah, they need to open up on the boiler wall now. That's exactly what Skies will be doing with the X-Cars. This provides a way in to eventually go for the execute. I'm hoping that those X-Cars have been placed right. It's a little bit too far. Yeah, okay. It is just right here to make sure that they could go for a plant later on. The first smoke canisters are already being used, and now they just need to sneak in a little bit of a safe position with 15 seconds left on the clock. The flashbang comes out first. Skies goes for the plant, and a kill comes through on the side of Bosco. Has to go off the plant, however, though. They didn't know quite exactly where Says was, but as they pick up that final kill, they still win the round in the end. And as a result, Spacestation Gaming will at least equalize the score here.
A huge turn of energy for SSG. After things got off to not a great start, they ended in a pretty great way. Pulled it back to an even attack defensive half. It's still roughly below average, but you look at those past 3 rounds, you look at the control they were able to exert. That is a confidence that at the beginning they just did not have. They really fine-tuned their approach here on Navi's map, and now they're going to turn themselves to their defense. And the control of the space and the control of the players was something that was played very well with that Lion. And the change here is, well, it's a different playstyle. It's EU's lead in here. The Ying swapped out to the Iana. They have the gun 6 and they have the chance of some pace, and Thatcher still on the board as well means that some of these approaches, and to be fair, it's something that hasn't really been thrown out too much by SSG.
No, it really hasn't been. And where it could have helped them maybe in the first round or potentially this, no, not even the second. I think really just the first is what could have helped them because they struggled a little bit with time there. The others were basically the diffuser getting dropped outside on bar, which is not really a site where you need a hard breacher for, so the Thatcher also loses a bit of value. And the third one, where it was wine cellar, they managed to get an opening done quickly. However, Doki just ran in and got a triple kill. So overall, didn't really seem to need the Thatcher. Navi will be opting to pick that one straight away, and that is most likely to open up the dining wall. That is being portrayed right now, closed off by Skies. So they have an opportunity to go quick and go for a quick plant. The only thing you then have to be worried about is about that top floor control. They might have verticalities ready, especially with Houghton still upstairs, could use that super shorty to open up these angles if the pressure becomes too big.
Nate, opening up with that LMG we talked about before, but Sophia's even bigger, still has 100 bullets in that belt. Doki has himself already quite an aggressive position here, but last time we talked about someone getting into position quickly, it didn't end up netting anything for SSG. Pulls himself back, sees if he can try and get some of the control on the split side and offer the rest of his team a bit of an entry road. You can see SSG stacked themselves a little bit further away. Fultz is down, deep underneath with the sort of not an ignorance, an ignoring of this half of the map. They're happy to hand it over and keep themselves as a three-tiered defense all the way across the top, and it's down to NAVI now to see if they can try and crack their way, starting with the top.
Yeah, the side wall is actually being opened up already. That will provide them a clean entry towards that site. But it seems like Fultz is looking like he could go for a potential flank right here. He's hanging out in the snowmobile. Could be coming up from blue, could be coming up from the snowmobile stairs itself. But Doki is on a bit of a hunt. He seems to be aware of the fact that someone could be down there secretly now on that hunt as well. They had a drone. They spot him out as well. Wallbangs are attempted right there. And Doki's going for a quick intercept, trying to make sure that he's not going to be able to leave. But he misses the first opportunity to get the kill. It's Fultz on 1 HP now, and it's a two-man hunt for the kill. Eventually gets him with a headshot, and no one takes any damage on the side of NAVI, which is good considering how that first shot was missed.
I mean, Fultz obviously doing the best he can there whilst being droned out. He wasted a lot of time, but NAVI, they were able to close it off. You see how quickly they moved. Here's the grenade. There's not a body. A little bit too long, and an uncharacteristic miss from the grenade play that we've seen from NAVI so far, but it buys Hot and Cold a bit of safety. That one doesn't get anybody either, and a canister pops itself over dining room table.
It's meant for the shield that was actually inside of that kitchen because it provides an extra angle if they want to go for a plant right behind the bomb chassis. Now it is just going to be a question for NAVI to try and waste as much utility as they possibly can. They need to get rid of those two smoke canisters ASAP. Those two impacts, you know, they're still on the board on the side of Bosco, but they're not going to be the main priority here. They want to go for a plant. That's what they set up for. And as Blur is inside the office here, he's stopping or trying to go for at least a denial for any vertical angles.
Blur is just seeing if he can get the lock off towards those two remaining players on the top. NAVI have hit a little bit of a brick wall and secretly hit more than that. Bullets dropped him inside the site. The defuse is cold. In and amongst the smoke, Nath. A huge take over the top as Doki goes down. Got a deep dive himself inside the smoke to see if he can try and get this stuck down. Skies, he's just caught out before he can see the leg. It's the angle above. Will it connect?
Oh, no.
Rampy just missed out by inches on locking it out, and it was split seconds on the side of Skies. NAVI somehow scramble a diffuser down in a 3 versus 2. They do not have vertical control. Bosco's going to see if he can drive himself in and amongst the site, and Rampy's looking to see if he can fish for anybody on the far side. There's a fireplace watch, so he can't go for a huge rotate, and it's otherwise just one either side of the site. Rampy's dropped. He's going to find the first fight, and it goes against him. Now it's just a lockout on Bosco, and NAVI take their first attack.
That is going to be so detrimental. They had the opportunity to stop the plan from happening, but it was just a millimeter too far to the left or anything like that. Just barely missing on to having that diffuser carrier killed. And as a result, NAVI, they retake that lead. And as we go over the replays yet once more, you see it right here. He's shooting right at him, but bullets just don't connect because of the metal bars. After that's a 2v3 hold, a post plant in favor of NAVI.
NAVI take their first attack, but only just. There was 2 moments, including that Jaeger, and you saw Skies just see the side of a body, and the cover swings out at the right time. If there was half a second difference there on that pickup kill on Skies, that would have very likely been him getting the kill on the planter, and the diffuser not going down. SSG know this, and they're still going to rotate. Bring themselves up to the top, keep their site rotation hot, and see if they can try and get that little extra 5 seconds.
That's what NAVI did as well. They continued rotating even though they lost Dining, then Bar, and after that Wine. Of course, they had a complete rotation right beforehand, so a little bit less stressful. So heading out into round number 8 right now. The second half of the first map is underway. The first round has been won by NAVI, who is looking to pick up at least the first map. There is no points this time anymore, though. It is a elimination bracket, no more groups. So you either need to win or you get knocked down towards the lower bracket to play against the teams who ended in the 4th seed, of course. Later on. That's tomorrow, not today. Which is technically later.
It is technically later. There's no 2 ways about that.
Oh.
A bit of a stretch underneath for now. Sky is currently the only body sitting on site. Fultz is off with these replaced angles and a reveal on the drone there. Dropped instantly. Fultz gave the game away that he was in that location, but to be honest, if he went for the swing anyway, regardless of the pings that came through, he likely would have been spotted, and there was no way to get into that engagement to take care of the drone and sort of say, I know you're there, you know I'm there, let's just wait and reconvene a little bit later. Looks like another drone that potentially just got caught there, but Nath, he's watching, he's hoping the player swings round. He's got himself in
right behind him
position. Oh no! It was a technical 360, but I think a scream was with it. Nath finds two with the big LMG that just keeps going. Brrr, and suddenly that quick positioning there of NAVI to get themselves underneath, and they've been able to lock off that big roam game, and you can see now those remaining SSG players, they're starting to filter their way back towards the site and offer some semblance of safety. Now they don't have that trade and body advantage.
No more trading. That is going in their way. If they continue going strong here, there's now players that try and dig deep right behind the utility they still have. Some mirror windows, some shields, and well, also yokai drones that are being put in place where they can potentially stop a plant from happening. At least one of them is trying to guide and find some information below on that first floor, but that one is not going to be too important because the site is about to be hit. Holocaust takes a small amount of damage as he drops actually through, has the opportunity to go for a nitro play at the end, but decides to rotate back up to that top floor instead. Not quite sure what Skies is doing with the yokai drone. He's going on a complete tour around the map.
A long drive.
Long drive, you know, he thought it was time, and as an EMP pops, it's not going to get any of those ADSs, and Rampy will find one at least to bring it back just slightly, and suddenly the man difference is just one.
It's just 50 seconds. They got the breach and they have a backline now. There's going to be an attempt of blur. He wanted to toy with the idea of a grenade there over to the backhand side, but he couldn't quite get the angle. So instead he goes for the width, just sees Mirror. Can't quite get the connection though, and slips his way back past. NAVI once again knocking on the door and not quite able to get in. The second attempt at a grenade on that close corner. And it takes Rampy. Took him out there and almost caught, but Mirror is able to lock it off. They sliver their way back in and protected from the swing round, finish it off, but saves with the cover, and Sky's now all that's left. Hops up on the echo drum, drops it off the pillar, and is just going to drive it onto position, but he can't quite get the connection. It's a long drive off the top of that lumber, and now he's found it, and once again, a post plant here for NAVI twice in a row, and they've made sure they can make it stick when it matters the most. Skies goes wide at first. Might give the game away, but you can see the upside down rappel on the top left. He knows that if he goes anywhere further out there, he's going to be caught. There's a reveal, there's a swing and a pre-fire onto the positioning. There's also the stretch body. It was pretty tough, too impossible. NAVI 5-3.
The double opening from Nave where he was just holding, looking at the connector. He's like, someone is going to come right through this. Here's a sprinting noise coming from Blue. So he goes for the 360, 180. It looked really weird, but he was able to pick up the kill in the end and a double as well to open it up. Yeah. Didn't go too well.
Didn't go too well.
Nope.
I can't remember who picked 2 in the first game.
I'm going to check it now. But, you know, just to point it out to you all, Spacestation picked NAVI to go with, and so far NAVI is seeming quite strong here.
It is NAVI's map. It is. Chalet is the opening map. I'm so fancy. Is the opening map here, and it's not a horrible one for us to see. That's the thing. Like this map selection, most question marks are on Bank, because Bank, as a choice, when they still had a handful of their other favorites up there. Yeah. You know, Club is where we have a decider here, and they're a fantastic club team. NAVI are a very good club team. I can see why they maybe didn't lean into that. You had the choice of Villa and Cafe. It might be because, as they sort of theorized on the desk, that rather than them thinking they have a great bank, they think that NAVI have a worse bank. And at this point, you just have to know you've got a better game than your opponents.
I just checked. It was FaZe who picked Oxygen.
Okay, well that one worked out.
No, wait, it was the other way around, actually. I think it was Oxygen that picked FaZe. Let me double check now. Now I'm starting to doubt. Yeah, Oxygen was second seed, so Oxygen picked FaZe.
Well,
so far,
so far, every team that has had the choice of picking their opponents has lost. I'm not entirely sure how the game on the other stream is going, but we're, you know, close to sitting here on that point. And to be fair, out of the games that happened between the 2 early ones, this is, I mean, a lot closer for sure than the TSM game.
Of course, for now it is, and so first impact gets tossed down. He gives away the opportunity. No! He tosses an impact. A Blur responds with his own Pokeball that has a bit of a delay on it, but gets the kill, and there's the opening yet once more on the side of NAVI. A good start here as they pick up Bosco.
Blur now, he's set up on these windows. They take care of a power position that a player is supposed to last a very long time into if they've got that stretch. And here with Saves trying to offer some of that split there and make sure they have some control over main and force some rotates. Nath, he's also opening up in pressure, and that's the thing about this map. Doki finds Hotton, drives himself in, just takes the fight. There's one more that's about to swing on him. Will he have awareness? It seemingly he does, but so does Rampy. Rampy just stops himself, overexerting, doesn't go directly for the trade in this moment in time. He knows that there's pressure coming in, there's explosions coming underneath Doki, and it works perfectly. The distraction of the players underneath, the combination there of Rampy and whoever it was that was loosing explosives below. It must have been Fultz, because he's the only one that can.
Yeah. And then Doki actually, fun fact, he's the one that isn't actually using the LMG. He uses the Spear 308, and well, not that they would have saved him in that matter. Either way, Navi still have a man advantage. They came down from 2 back to 1, and as they do have a little bit of trophy control here with Blur, it's him trying to open up some ankle holes, try and see if he can find any of these Space Station players from below. And as the hatch gets opened up, as some more verticality gets put up as well, it's a default or bulletproof camp that will actually give it away. Skies, however, will be forced back. He can no longer play inside that kitchen now, and took a little bit of damage on the way out as well.
He has 3 smokes, and they've rotated themselves down to be a backline the similar way that we've seen it held before. And last time, the aggressive SSG was successful. The grenade goes over the top. Doesn't quite get the full explosion on anyone. Saves is watching the rotate, and secretly he's watching Skies. There it is, though, Rampy.
Oh, no way!
Get it out! And Saves is able to hold down. Fultz is all that's left, finds 1. Looks for the second with a huge gun, and he's going to see if he can quite get the catch there, but it's above. Everywhere is dangerous, and at that point, it doesn't matter how big a gun is if there's more of them pointed at you. Map point, Navi.
4v1 in the end there. Map point Navi, indeed. Managing to get the plant down yet once more. 3 rounds in a row now they managed to plant, and where the first one might have been a little bit lucky after the verticality didn't work out. I just wanted to say again, I like how Bosco, he's like, oh, someone's under repel, I'm going to toss an impact nade. And then they respond with just a grenade themselves. It's like 2 can play that game.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I've got those too.
You walked right into my trap card. Either way, 3-6, Navi on a map point here. It's only map number 1, but it is definitely going to be a great start for them if they do manage to pick it up. And Bar will be the destination we'll play at.
Okay, the thing about how this is sort of approaching, and obviously we're seeing them rotate to another side. Again, we're seeing them try Bar. As I said, it was one of the 2 that they haven't really tested as of yet. They just need to sort of break this momentum, and to be fair, the first half was 3 for Navi, 3 for SSG. It's now been 3 for Navi again, but it's a little bit tougher at this point. Obviously, it's a little bit trickier when you're on your defense, you're against your opponent's map pick, you're against a friend of a map, and trying to find some solidity. SSG every single time these past few rounds, they lose that entry battle quite early, the past 2 times, but then they still sort of hold off. They reimagine themselves.
A little bit,
they occasionally try and put in, and I think that's that frustrating thing for them is they're close to stopping the diffuser going down, but they can't quite work out just how Navi are getting that next little step.
That's it. Navi keep on finding, when they find that entry, they find a double as well, and then, they fight back just a little bit, but the damage is already done in that case, and I think that's the true issue here. You lose 2 of those important players on that roam who need to waste time early on, and that means that Navi have a 2-man advantage and extra time. That really doesn't seem to help the side of Space Station too much right now. Either way, there is still plenty of time in this round. 2 minutes and 30. Space Station, they need to get 3 rounds in a row right now if they want to find themselves in a position where they can fight for overtime. As grenades are being used, as Doki sneaking up on the Solarium stairs right now. Noises are being made, and he gets the first. He was occupied with a window that was currently being shot out. It was a distraction move, and Doki picks up a clean headshot.
Saves is watching the piano window again. It's this game of Chalet where you sort of cut off rotations and points and possibilities, and whether they think all the players have pulled themselves back or not, you can still see Navi are just slowly creeping their way, but it's constantly. They're making sure they keep moving, keep applying pressure to the players in these positions. The next swing will come down to those stairs. They're going to see if they can try and take out that body, potentially burn it out from the corner. Doki has a grenade in pocket. They have that extra window swing here. They know they're up against a huge battle utility. You're going to have ADSs and probably discs there as well. You can just see it on the lumber beam at the top. So are they instead going to see if they can take this width here instead onto box and onto that pillars player?
Longer angle being created to put up some extra pressure onto the player on the back stairs. Rampy is going to be the one that needs to be pressured first. I'm quite sure that he will be the one receiving the bad end of some grenades and some flashbangs, and that's exactly what's happening. Forced out just slightly, but no real pressure coming back through, and that means that he has the opportunity to turn it back around. There is that mirror window, and as Fultz gets a grenade right on top of him, that means the staircase is now lost as well. It is Saves that comes in from the back, finds Rampy, and that's a double entry yet once more. A minute left on the clock. And well, right now they can start taking that top floor control, work their way down, use that verticality to truly make it a last tough round for Spacestation.
There goes Skies as well. They've only got Fultz and Bosco, a hell of a duo, but up against NAVI with all this vertical control, it becomes so awkward. One canister, one C4 between them. Fultz, he's gone off on a bit of a west main rotate. He's going to see if he can strike behind Nath, but Nath seems fully aware at this point. He's happy to sit and wait. Secretly finds the one-side player, and it's a flawless to lock out a 7-3 opening map here for NAVI.
Wanted to go for yet another plan there on the side of NAVI, but he was not gifted that one. Saves, that is in the end. And they pick up the map, and that is what's most important. You know, there's no way he's going to be like, wait a second to kill him. I want to get this plant down, 100% plant rate. But no, they win it.